Yeah, so WandaVision can tell me whatever it wants. Nothing will ever convince me that Maria Rambeau isn't with Carol right now, living her best space lesbian life. Hello, freaks, geeks, and all those unique. This is MC Frodis, and we're talking about episode 4 of WandaVision. We interrupt this program. So this episode is a big one. This reveals so many of the mysteries from the first 3 episodes. And I think that works in its favor and its detriment. So we're going to have to get into that. So we start out where we ended last week with Geraldine in quotation marks, being kicked out of Westview. But then we immediately go into a flashback to right after Hulk's snap. So right after everybody came back. And we see that Geraldine was one of the snapped. And not only that, we get official revelation as to who she is. She is Monica Rambeau, which is the little girl from Captain Marvel, the daughter of Maria Rambeau, who was Carol's best friend. I'm sorry. I ship them so hard, so, that's gonna come up. But Monica was very much Carol's kind of adopted niece. And you even, as she's kind of snapped back into existence, you can hear Carol talking to her, calling her Captain Trouble. But we find out that Monica was there while her mother was getting surgery for cancer. And then we find out that during the 5 years that she was snapped away, that Maria has since died, which, like I said in the opening, I don't accept that. I think Maria and Carol are living their happily ever space lesbian life. Well, except nothing else. But we do get more of Monica's backstory, and in a way, Maria's backstory, which honestly, with all of this stuff built up, I mean, give me a show. I want to see this. We get more about S.W.O.R.D. It's revealed that Maria actually founded S.W.O.R.D., presumably after Carol left the second time. And it's I'm kind of theorizing here, but I think it's very much an educated guess that after Carol left, Maria decided to kind of take up what Captain Marvel did just for Earth. She's, kind of responsible for protecting Earth from alien invaders, which, granted, S.W.O.R.D. didn't do a whole lot of good in that area with everything with Thanos. But, we don't know exactly what happened. So I'm very interested to know more of that history. And I think that if they didn't intend it, they have inadvertently set up a series that they can do. They can do a series about S.W.O.R.D., about Maria's history, founding S.W.O.R.D., and how Monica came up into it. And I think that's something they very, very much could do, because obviously the actress who played Maria Rambeau is not dead. So they could always bring her back in to do something that's set in the 90s and early 2000s. Totally here for that. But Monica has grown up in S.W.O.R.D. and is one of their top agents. But she's kind of not fully trusted after everything that happened with the snap, because they honestly don't know what happened with the snap. And there were protocols put into place for if somebody disappears and comes back, that, they're grounded for a while. But Monica is still sent out to investigate this problem in Westview. And we get Jimmy Woo back again from the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie. And I love this episode, how it brings in so many disparate elements from the MCU, because these are all minor characters that have never interacted with each other, but it makes sense that they should create this network. So you have Monica, who grew up as part of SWORD. Jimmy is in the FBI, and we very quickly get Darcy coming in from the Thor movies. And she has, in the years, I think it's been about 8 years since we've seen Darcy. And in that time, she's kind of gone from being this goofy intern to being a doctor. I mean, she's still goofy because she's Darcy, but I mean, when we see her in the first Thor movie, she has absolutely no interest in science. She's a political science major, but after everything that happens to her in the Thor movies, she actually goes ahead and becomes an astrophysicist, which I think is incredibly interesting. So we have these three characters from different areas of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they're all kind of coming together to deal with this problem with, I would say, B-list Marvel characters. Scarlet Witch and Vision, as much as I like them, are not the top tier. I do think that they'd probably be on, the tier below the B level. So, this is one of the great things about doing a Disney Plus show, is that you can focus on all of these minor characters and you can really flesh them out. And I think with the Disney Plus format, you don't have to commit a long time to them. You can just, dip in every once in a while. And also, you don't have to diverge as much as something as, say, like your Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where you're doing like 22 episodes. So there's just way too much to really work along with what's going on in the movies. So throughout this episode, it is kind of an extended flashback of everything that was going on just outside of Westview while the first 3 episodes were going on, which I think is both good and bad, because obviously we had a lot of questions as to, where did that helicopter come from? It turns out it's a drone. What was that voice? It's Jimmy trying to talk to Wanda. Who was that beekeeper? It was somebody from SWORD who was trying to get in. And the one thing that happens with Wanda's reality warping powers is that what comes into the town is made time period specific. So like a hazmat suit becomes a beekeeper's uniform, and a drone turns into a toy airplane. All of this stuff is stuff that I wanted answered. However, because I knew that Jimmy Woo was going to come in, because I knew Darcy was going to come in, because I knew that she was Monica Rambeau, this was all stuff that was not even like big spoilers. This was stuff that was very well documented in mainstream media. So if you paid attention at all to what was going on with WandaVision, these things weren't really revelations. And everything that happened in the last 3 episodes, while they were intriguing, when we get the answers to them, there's nothing that really stands out as a gasp-worthy moment. It's just kind of oh, okay, so that's what happened. So it's not bad. It's just structurally a bit off. Honestly, having watched 4 episodes of this already, well, I don't think the show would be as good if they had released everything at once and you binged it, because I think you would miss a lot. But I think this show is going to be better watching it back afterwards. I think that really this is a long format movie that's just released in 30-minute increments. I'm still saying that the 30-minute time limit is incredibly frustrating for me, because there is so very little story, because you have the Marvel credits, you have the end credits, you have the previously on. So when you're getting down to it, you've only got about 20 minutes of content. And that's, if you're releasing things weekly, then that's very, very frustrating. So I would like to see some longer episodes, and hopefully they'll be doing that now that we're not as married to the sitcom format, but you would think that this would be the first episode that they could really break away from that. So we did get answers to a lot of the questions that came up in the previous episodes, but then we got some other questions. Some answered right away, and then we didn't really think about being questions. And that's the fact that this is a real town, and everybody in the town is real. And actually, that's the whole reason why Sword and the FBI are there in the first place, because somebody in there is in the witness protection program. We don't know who that is yet. And we did not get any explanation as to who Agnes is. We had names put out for almost everybody except for her. And when you see the big board, and everybody's got driver's licenses on them, hers doesn't. So that's going to be a reveal. As Darcy is watching the show, and by the way, I find it so cute that she's invested in the show. As soon as she started watching it, I'm like, oh, she's gonna get addicted to this. And so then it was very nice seeing her and Jimmy watching the show while eating their baked lays. And I'm sorry, I think I might ship it. Did not see that coming, but they're totally cute together. But we can see that whenever weird stuff happens, whenever like Wanda does a rewind or when she blasts Geraldine out, there's an interruption in the broadcast. It's censored, basically. So it looks like things just immediately jump. Maybe it's Wanda who's doing that, or maybe it's somebody else, because while Wanda is very much responsible for what's happening, I don't think she's solely responsible. So we really got to get into, and I think that's going to be ultimately what this show is about. It's who's exactly manipulating Wanda to do this and why. We get very little of Wanda and Vision. They only really come in at the end. But the stuff that they have with them is really good, because we do see the exact confrontation between Monica and Scarlet Witch. And Wanda's terrifying. She's so dedicated to this lie that she's in, that having Monica there threaten it, she's going to just unleash all of her powers, blasting this woman out into who knows where. And then when Vision comes in, oh, that scene of Vision coming in, and he looks like he did after Thanos killed him. His head is, sunken in. There's no Mind Stone, and he's a Vision zombie. He's colorless. He's got no eyes. It's so frightening to see Vision like that and acting like he did before, where he's just like this sitcom character. Oh, chilling. So I think with this show, I'm getting much more interested in what's happening. Now that we've had a big info drop, I'm hoping that they kind of mix the sitcom along with what's happening on the outside. Because I don't think that we can go back to just solely being the sitcom. I think everything that happened with Geraldine has now broken that illusion, and so we have to move past that, and we're about halfway through at this point. I think that if they went back solely to the sitcom format, I think that it would be too much of a structural problem. I don't think they can get away with it. As it is now, I think what they did is okay. I mean, I think that there could have been some improvements. I think they could have, I feel like they could have cut one of the sitcom episodes and just had this as episode 3, because episodes 1 and 2, it did feel a little bit repetitive, and I still feel like that. And we'll see what happens when the entire season is released and how I feel about it. But just now, this is how I feel. And I think that as long as we keep on building up both storylines now that are happening, then this will be a really interesting show. I think it'll play really well in a big group, but I think that because it's in the sitcom format, I think releasing them weekly is the right way to go. Very, very interested to see where they're going with this, because there were so many mysteries set up in the first 3 episodes, and we got a lot of them answered in this one. So they're going to have to escalate from here. So, yeah. Looking forward to next week, especially as next week we finally move on with the storyline. This episode obviously went back and kind of covered the first 3 episodes, so we haven't really had any story progression, and I'm looking forward to that. So tell me down below what you thought of episode 4, We Interrupt This Program. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I do lots of videos on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Star Wars, Star Trek, Sherlock, Supernatural, and many, many other geeky things. If you want to support me, you can go to my Patreon, or you can buy me a coffee. If you would like something to wear, you can buy one of my geeky t-shirts. Today, I am wearing my Fanfic Tropes shirt. You can get those on Redbubble and TeePublic. And so until next time, live long and may the Force be with you.